Excellent, and welcome to the TED Summit online conference. We're doing a session with the founding team from Alert Spa. So, what I'll do is I'll just hand over to the Alert Spa team and ask them to introduce what they're getting up to.
Well,
Sure. Thanks for having us. Really excited to speak to you today about the emerging problem of info stealers.
Yeah,
We have a really unique solution for that, and we'll talk about that later.
yeah,
But I really just want to introduce the problem and explain it and kind of what risks we're all at from it.
yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah. So just before I get started, I want to say I'm joined by my co-founders, Dima and Mike. If you want to say hello, and they'll be talking more later. I'm the native English speaker, so I'm the voice of the co-founding team right now. But just to start off with, what is an info stealer? What is this magical thing we're talking about? It's kind of like a Trojan, right? Which is this typical virus that's been around for 20 plus years. Maybe historically it was a bit more fun than financially motivated. So your screen might have flipped around. You might have had some nyan cats running across it. You may have seen a little message, but it wasn't stealing your data necessarily. It may have wiped your data back in the day.
Yeah,
That was very common. But there was no ransom note. There was no money being transferred in most cases. However, of course, hacking has evolved. Went from a fun thing that mischievous and very intelligent people were doing to a financially motivated crime that was more about making money than showing off and breaking the rules.
yeah,
And info stealers are all about that, right? So when they infect your computer, they're very silent. They don't do anything crazy to let you know that they're in there. And then what they do is they take the most important things to you in your life. We're all very attached to our accounts, to our online, life, and
yep,
everything's on our computer now. We save our passwords to Facebook to our computer. We also save our passwords to our bank accounts to our computer. And so you can imagine if somebody could steal all of those passwords, they could steal the information you need to hack into those accounts. That could be very catastrophic. And that is
yep,
exactly what info stealers do. So they steal not just the passwords, but everything about you. So every little detail about your device, every little detail about how you're logged into accounts, which is called a session key.
yep,
And that's also stored in your browser. And this information can then be used to pretend to be you as well. So even if these banks have really good protection and they try to detect if it's a new login from Russia or it's a new user on a device they've never seen before. Well, they can
yep,
just pretend to be you. They can make
yep,
their device look like your device. They can make their IP address come from a place near you.
yep.
Uh, and so when they steal this data, it's no game. They really do have access to nearly everything that you have
Yeah, I mean,
through.
because there's like,
Yeah.
your passport, your driver's license with your wallet. And of course, your wallet is on your computer as well. So they can get those relatively secure sort of proofs of identity as well if they steal them.
Yeah, that's certainly possible.
Okay.
Dima, you might know of some variants that do that, but right now I think they mostly focus on those identity credentials, right? So how they can get
Okay.
into things, right? Because
Okay.
they want to make quick money. They want to try to
Yep.
automate the process. Dima, do you know of any that do that?
yeah, sure. The cookie session is the way where
Okay.
hackers can bypass two-factor authentication, and
Yeah.
it's the most common issue and mistake when architects not considering this way, and even they have two-factor authentication. The leaked cookie session can be modified like fingerprint of user, and it's possible to make the cookie replay with this fingerprint. So yeah, it's very serious, and we also providing the takedown of these cookie sessions. It means when we found this leaked compromised cookie session, we
Yeah.
check this session and we do automatic logout for this session and invalidating it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Understood.
But mostly they focus on interestingly, the types of credentials they like to steal often relate to gaming. And the reason for that is because if you can imagine, first off, just nowadays, the marketplaces that are tied to video games, like for example, Call of Duty, or actually a better one would be CSGO, they have digital assets that are basically just cosmetics,
Yeah.
and they're worth an enormous amount of money, and they're in themselves investment markets, secondary investment markets in a way.
Yeah.
So if you can access an account that has items, worth thousands of dollars, that's just as valuable as accessing an account that has your actual money, so your
Yeah.
bank account or something
Understood.
like that.
Yeah.
So they'll automate the process when this data gets stolen and it ends up in different marketplaces. They'll automate the process of going through all of these new credentials and just trying to log into accounts. So they're
Gotcha.
not even doing this manually. It's a completely automated enterprise, which means that speed is a necessity, right? Because if you're getting, if you're becoming aware of an infection from an info stealer, a month later, it's far beyond what you
Yeah.
needed to know about that. And
Gotcha.
that's their goal as well. They want to operate silently. They just want to take the data and exfiltrate it and then, use that as soon as possible. Some of these groups will obviously use the data right away. So they'll have their own private servers with their own data. And then a lot of them don't even bother with that part of the process, or they do very little of that. They make most of their money from selling the data or from posting it online and getting, maybe they get some ego points, some social points essentially from
Yeah.
that.
That's it.
Um, and we end up getting the data around that part of the process, right? When it becomes available online to other hackers, we have it as well. So
Gotcha.
anybody who's out there trying to exploit this data, we're trying to be one step ahead of them every single time. And that allows us to alert. That's why it's alerts bar. It's all about alerting.
Yeah.
It allows us to alert these companies that we have as clients that, hey, this new employee or this, this really important person at your company. For example, we've seen VPs at, Ernst & Young. We've seen at the highest level companies, Fortune 500s, Fortune 10s, credentials of really high level employees, and we can alert them before the hackers then go try to use that. And that's really important because most data breaches now happen as a result of an initial info stealer infection. So an employee gets infected with an info stealer, and then they can use that to get access to corporate accounts, right? Just
Yeah.
like they can use it to get access to your CSGO account. And so if you're an administrator and you have access to databases, you have access to really sensitive data. Maybe you're a game developer for Rockstar. All of these are instances where it's really been a real situation. Like this has happened. For example, GTA 6 was leaked,
Yeah.
and also a lot of details about EA games. Their entire archive was leaked.
Yeah.
There was also the big Snowflake hacks, and that was initially
Yeah.
was a result of a developer somewhere along the line getting hacked and their keys being stolen.
Gotcha.
So it's a really simple way to hack into companies, and so it's reinvigorated, I would say, the kind of um, like underground market where a lot of younger hackers like to spend their time, right? Back in the day, it was different. We had different types of methods for how, teenagers would disrupt things and really cause damage. But this is the new way. And this combined with social engineering techniques, which is the second, I think, biggest thing they do,
Yeah.
that's super successful, is it's poison. It's really effective. It's terrible. And so what we're trying to do is, hey, let's alert companies before they can lead to this, before this can happen.
Gotcha. So, what are the main mechanisms to get these Trojans onto your device?
Yeah. So it's just like I said, they tie the social engineering aspect in. So they try to exploit the human, faults, right? They're
Yeah.
not trying to use necessarily 0 days. Mike, do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, I can give a real life example how people are getting infected. So it will be just more like a use case. But first of all, I wanted to add some like a historical small remark that like about the scale of the problem. Like many CTOs don't know what is infostealery. Many people have never faced it. But the truth is that it's the most evolving threat causing the most data breaches globally nowadays. And Just to give you a scale, every single day, up to 500,000 computer devices globally are getting infected. And then this data goes to the dark web and getting their cannibalized or sold in some way. So what Alerts Bar does is actually we are trying to access as many closed communities, open communities in the dark web, Onion websites, closed Telegram channels, to get their data firsthand, index it, and alert our customers. And our customers is actually the wide variety of clients. And the common feature about them is they have to care either about their employees or about their customers or about both of them. So, for example, both of them, it's like a banking industry, like a banks, about their or med tech or military tech or any large enterprise who would like to protect them. And about real case, which I wanted to mention is was one of the ex-presidents of Deutsche Bank, which got infected with InfoStealer malware on his personal device. We identified it, and basically I contacted him for the remediation support. And what was stolen from his personal devices, all the credentials, like about 700 websites, all the cookies, credit cards, browsing history, autofills information, all the information about his computer, and so on and so forth. So entire computer fingerprint.
Gotcha.
And he shared the story how he got infected. So he was just crawling on the internet looking for some important information for him. And then he got a pop-up notification that his Avast antivirus is outdated. Please press to update. So he updated it, and he got a notification like after following all the steps in the process that his antivirus is updated and all good. But actually, this was antivirus which compromised him. And this is only one of the ways how you can get infected. There is a plenty of others involving social engineering, like pass the CAPTCHA or try to download some cheat for the computer game or see a Google ad where you're trying to download some software which you really need. And even Google ads. So you trust Google, obviously, and if it's on top of the Google search. So that's why actually malicious actors are sometimes hunting for the Google account or Facebook account to spread their malware through this hijack accounts.
Understood. That's clear.
Yeah.
I have one question, please. So previously we made some podcasts about social engineering with Alan and his guests, and about data brokers, how they looking for data sets, their price. It's extremely expensive to buy a real data set, verified, etc., etc. And some of our guests, they from cybersecurity companies like you, maybe your competitors or partners, we don't know, but they shared that very often data brokers, they work with darknet. So what they do, they buy stolen data sets from this dark web, darknet. This is first note that I want to hear your comments. And the second one, I can say from my personal, not community, but let's say network, that I see what's going on right now worldwide. So it seems like any non-technical person can easily use this technology with InfoStealers. How easy is it to click and to see this cookie and to resell it immediately, especially for gaming industry, for all those gamers. They're very open to buy or to resell any data, those credentials, etc., etc. So do you cooperate? I'm sure somehow you cooperate with some security services, law enforcement, like international police, for example, to identify cyber criminals and to help those security services to catch them.
Thank you, Bogdan, for question. I will answer for first one. So this is the arm race and the in our business, the most important KPI is time to react, time to mitigate. So for darknet monitoring, for InfoStealers intelligence, the most important thing to get data in most fast and quick way, and provide these signals and incident reports to businesses. So the sources which we see in dark web become, let's say, they are private, but after some time, maybe 1 week or 2 week, it became public and everyone can see this data. So that companies which can obtain this data, let's say, faster and provide these signals to businesses, makes this better KPI. So that's, let's say, the secret sauce of each company, where they finding this data and how they parse this data. For example, many companies not finding useful data inside these InfoStealers logs. For example, they use only credentials, but not showing the cookies data and other metadata, which we see, and we carefully parse this data and trying to provide every piece of this data to business. Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
on the second.
Sorry, one additional question to Dima or Mike or you, Aidan. Is if it's not confidential, what is range of price? Just interesting for this data set. If someone want to buy, can you share any range?
Yeah, sure. As we see, Darknet today is a huge marketplace. And just imagine the InfoStealers, it's a viruses with a roadmap which has strict roadmap which new functions they're going to implement. And the next step is malware as a service. So everyone can order his own InfoStealer, and it can be customized by their needs and distributed. So, as we've seen, there are a lot of subscription plans for this malware as a service, and the same for these private Telegram channels, for some darknet forums, for Tor websites, and so on. What we've seen, the price varies from maybe few hundreds to few $1,000s. So it's, as I said, it's the subscription, and the entire model is malware as a service. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
I can
Yeah,
comment
thanks.
more on the law enforcement side of things. I also just wanted to mention that it's sold in a variety of different ways as well. You know, sometimes you might see a marketplace where a single log is advertised as having, you know, this, and this, and it's up for sale for less than $10. In fact, the info stealer that was responsible for this massive snowflake hack, where, you know, all these giant companies like AT&T were hacked, that was only sold for around $10. So the data comes in different forms. It's a very complex ecosystem, and it's our job as experts to make sure that we're as close to the beginning of the line as possible, so our alerts come out as fast as possible to protect our users. As far as the law enforcement side, there is definitely a lot of interest there. As far as how we can use this data to go after the same threat actors who are often releasing this malware. Interestingly enough, a lot of them infect themselves, and so their own computer will be within the data of all the other victims. And so you can often use this data for that cyber threat intelligence research. Also, there are victims of other crimes that can be helped with this, right? So not just the info stealers themselves, but let's say, the terrible problem of CSAM, which, if you're not familiar, is just the modern word for and more correct word for child pornography. A lot of this content is distributed online, and the people who are in these circles have also been affected by info stealers. And so if you're a law enforcement body like the German Bavarian state police, state prosecutors, you could come to us and get help with that. And we've had success with that. So, for example, there's this massive place called KidFlix. It doesn't exist anymore. Interpol and a lot of law enforcement did an amazing job taking that down. But they also were able to get help from us as far as, let's get more information on who's responsible for this and who's uploading these videos and who's registering to this site and who has a password saved to the site. And so we had wonderful success with that. We know where it's at now. It's certainly in their hands now, and they can do with that what's necessary to go after these very vile and just the worst of the worst.
Cool.
And I think that's a wonderful use case. We think that there's some real good that we can do with this data beyond just cybersecurity and protecting innocent people.
Okay, good, thank you. I also heard for malware as a service, but I saw that phishing as a service and ransomware, I think, as a service, it's like similar products. They're very popular, and they are buying and modify, resell those products. So for me personally, interesting this phishing infrastructure, because what I see, unfortunately, even some international mobile operators like MNO, MVNO, they offering their infrastructure and value of those resources, it's like $100 million infrastructure. They easily open that for phishing. So if we compare a legal business, it's very hard for new company to start, like startup, to start this business legally nowadays. But if someone interested to collect some data to resell it in darknet, to build this phishing as a service and ransomware, malware infrastructure, it's very, very easy. They even open credit limits. They do some prepayment with cryptocurrency worldwide. So anyone can buy easily KYC documents, like I mentioned on our previous podcast with Alan, that certificate of incorporation or registration, any fake ID, everything available on the market. Then you with your product definitely helping security services, law enforcement to identify and catch those cyber criminals. I cannot call them script kiddies like it was in the past, because they know very well what they do. And when I see news that infected around 200 countries, and they stole like around $150 million. So I'm not sure that they really trying to identify and catch them as fast as possible. It seems like it taking really long time. So with your product, I think it's more faster for business owners, especially small, medium business, because they have a limited number of employees. And as we discussed again with Alan and our guest from cybersecurity, that if enterprise like mobile operator or group of companies, corporations, they have thousands of employees, and infrastructure is not possible to identify even all devices that connected, because it's too many. So with small and medium businesses, it's much faster and much easier for you with your product, I mean Alert Bar, to train employees, especially as you mentioned for social engineering, because this is human behavior and human mistake number one. They have no idea when they open email with attachment, and then what happened, or they receive SMS or message in any messenger like Telegram, Viber, even the same Signal, WhatsApp, etc., with a link, or one of the latest examples that I shared with Alan, I think with Dima also, that scammers, they are looking on LinkedIn, on business network. Can you open for us like Belgium, France, Luxembourg, and they share like part-time job, booking, or any other well-known brand. This is 100% phishing. So they do not afraid. They know that someone open for them route for this phishing. They send these part-time job offers via WhatsApp, Telegram, Viber, all messengers available. Then stolen data appears on the dark web, and you see it with your product. All credentials, logins, passwords, cooking session. So you see here a connection. All those different products, different businesses, somehow they are connected with each other. And this is like a circle. So all circling, and we see only small top of this iceberg, right?
Well, let's start from ransomware you mentioned. The ransomware is the result of not reacting to infostealers' notifications. And what we provide, we also provide the security awareness courses, which the same way like anti-phishing courses, when you train your team, when you provide some challenges which looks like some emails or something like that. The same we provide the same courses for infostealers. The second thing, we provide C-level monitoring for companies, and the crucial thing is to monitor the supply chain. The last year is trusted this way because most attacks happened via supply chain. So let me give an example. Any infrastructure which is not inside the corporate ecosystem, it could be like Slack, Jira, any other services on third-party domains which are not covered by your VPN, by your SSO, and other solutions. As an example, the issue with cookie bought on the darknet for Electronic Arts Slack account of their employee, which resulted the leakage of source code of the game which was prepared for release. So that's the complex of things we provide, and suggest for companies to follow these rules. And also what we do, once we found the data, We provide the investigation for, let's say, this compromised device for employee, and we found the root cause of this infection. So we're helping to do the deep investigation in this data and find how this precise employee got infected, and then we provide our proposals how company can improve their security policy to eliminate these incidents in future. So that's the entire strategy. It's our systematical approach. Uh, yeah, that's it.
Uh,
Maybe, yeah.
Why business owners they do not want to use your product, your services? What do they usually say? Like, oh, it's expensive, we don't need this product. And the second question, when something happened with their credentials, with employees, and you want to show them like confirmation, what do they say after that?
Well, in general, we say even we don't have any data for precise company, we anyway suggest to buy our subscription for darknet monitoring, because once we will find this data, better company will get this information from us, not from the media and headlines. Yeah. So, but often companies thinks it will not happen with us, and we have very good security. We bought some very expensive vendor, maybe like CrowdStrike, which covers all our surface and so on. But anyway, we see that infostealers are infecting employees of these companies. Even it's not a corporate, it can be a home computer, which also related to sensitive data. So the main issue, the businesses not aware of this problem, of this issue about infostealers. And our goal is to talk about this and show the methods how to react for these threats. That's it. Yeah, maybe guys can add something.
No, I mean, that's clear. Aidan, Mike, anything else you'd like to add?
I did have something on the phishing side. I don't know if we have time for it, but
Go for it. No, yeah, just add it in. That'd be great.
I would say the tie between phishing and info stealers is actually quite strong. A lot of info stealers are delivered in methods that are typically seen as phishing methods,
Okay.
via emails and things like that. But also the way that that data is sold that they get from phishing is often treated similarly, right? So let's say you fall for a phishing link that's sent to you through Facebook, and all it does is collect your Facebook credentials. Well, that's still kind of similar to how info stealers work, right? So
Yeah.
they collect that data, and then they'll go out and hack into more Facebook accounts and spread their campaign further, and it's exponential, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, info stealers, they have the same business model, right? To spread this virus, this poison, and then collect data from it and then sell that data. The only difference is that info stealers are like that problem, but on steroids, on a lot of drugs, because it's just the amount of data they collect is much more significant, and the severity of what they collect is very much more significant.
Yeah, no, that's clear. And I appreciate just how similar they are, those models. And Dima or Mike, anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I want to add that for business, it's not very expensive to buy this solution. It could start from let's say $800 per month, but even this amount is not equal to salary for any cybersecurity employee, and yeah. That's my point. So even if company not able to have own SOC, we provide the solution like managed SOC and covering all this stuff from our side.
That's clear. Excellent. And Bodan, again, thank you so much for this introduction. This is very interesting, the data that's been shared. But I'll just leave it to anything else from Dima, Aidan, or Mike. Anything you'd like to add?
I maybe would like to add that to the objection part, because I'm also from the sales side a little bit. People often say that, well, we have antivirus, we have two-factor authentication, and so on and so forth. But in every log, I see that Windows Defender was on, and it's never actually helped to protect from InfoStealer, because people want so desperately to download the solution which is not existing, and it's actually InfoStealer. So they see the alert, but they turn it off. Any antivirus can't actually help to protect you from InfoStealer, and that's for sure the most evolving threat of our, let's say, decade.
Yep, absolutely. And that comes back to it's all about people and the training. And that's why that 360-degree approach is so important. So great. Well, this has been really interesting. I'm wishing you the best of luck as you're building out this business. It's definitely a strong need. It's certainly been an eye-opener on the similarities between phishing and what we're seeing from InfoStealers as well. So I hope you the best of luck in growing your business.
Thanks, Alan.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you.